I'm Darren Johns from Align Financial on Sydney's Northern Beaches.
Now, Darren, you're well known as the 2016 AFA Zurich Advisor of the Year, but you haven't always been an Advisor of the Year. What was your first job?
My first ever job, delivering the Manly Daily, which was a newspaper around the local streets, which is great when it's not raining, but when it rains, it's a horrible job.
And how old were you when you were doing that?
I was 9 years old, and when I filled in from 8, I got $1 a day.
And what did you do with that first pay pack? Do you remember?
Well, it was $1 note back then, so that's dating me a little bit. But I probably saved up 5 of them to buy, what would I have bought back then? Maybe, well, the kids call them now a penny skateboard, but in those days it was just a little plastic skateboard.
Excellent. And from the delivering the local paper in Manly through to becoming an advisor, what was your career path?
So after university, I got a job as a private investigator, which I had a short career following people for insurance claims and things like that, which was interesting and colourful at times. But I then got offered a job for a superannuation firm in town. And I later learnt that I was the second best candidate, but the guy hiring me lived 5 minutes down the street, and he thought that on Friday nights when he was drunk, I could drive him home, so I got the job. So it's not always, you don't always have to be the best, you just have to sometimes be in the right place at the right time.
Okay, there's 2 things here we have to break down. First of all, private investigator, how long did you do that for?
3 weeks, wasn't long at all. So I happened to have brown hair, no distinguished features, and drove a white Commodore, could speak fluent English, and so I got the job. There wasn't a whole lot more to it, mate.
Sounds like the benchmark for your jobs hasn't been too high. You live down the road 5 minutes, look like every other guy.
Yeah, I never thought about it before, but you're right there.
So the job with the chap down the street, how long did you keep that one for?
About 3.5 years. So I worked in superannuation consulting land and consulting world, and then there was a financial advisor who worked in the same business, and he approached me one day and said, Daz, if you're ever looking to come across from the corporate side of the world to the individual advising side of the world, come and give me a call.
And that's how you made the transition across?
Correct.
And what year was that?
That was 2001.
2001, so you've been an advisor roughly for about 16,
17 years I've been on the ASIC register, correct.
Excellent. But when you were at school, was that your plan to become an advisor? You sort of mentioned you transitioned across into it. Was that your dream as a kid?
Not really, no, not at all. I guess to be fair, in Year 6 I was voted most likely to become Prime Minister. I had no real aspirations to become Prime Minister, but that was how the class saw me. But no, there was no great aspirations. I studied maths at university. I kind of went for the egg that cracked easiest. Got a job in this superannuation gig and rolled on from there.
Excellent. Now, thinking about the advice industry, obviously you've had a pretty busy 12 months being Advisor of the Year. You've done a lot of road shows with the AFA in Zurich, and you've told a lot of people about your journey. What are the big issues still facing you as an advisor?
Personally, as an advisor, I guess it's just to grow and to find replicable advisors to come and work in my small business, which is small. There's only 3 of us in my business, there's nowhere to hide, so it's important that we all get on really, really well, which we do. But in looking for the next person, the next body in the office, it's kind of difficult, and we have a pretty small catchment area working where we do on the beaches in the suburbs. We're not in the city, so we find it difficult to find quality people locally to come and work in our business.
Does that catchment area also mean that you're fairly well known amongst the community?
Look, I worked at the golf range, I worked at the local shops, I went to school locally, I'm involved in soccer clubs and in surf clubs, so most times I cross the road, I walk down the street, I get a toot or a wave, so I do tend to know a few people in the area.
So it's almost like being Prime Minister, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah.
So you got there in one way.
Correct. I mean, my wife sort of, when I go shopping or do the shopping, which I do quite often, I said, look, gee, that took me 50 minutes. She said, yeah, but how long did you spend talking to so-and-so who you used to go to school with? And more often than not, she's right. I do bump into people I know.
You mentioned sort of some things you see for yourself in the immediate future. What about the profession you work in?
As a whole, yeah, I think we need to battle a bit. I think a bit of a sleeper is a battle for relevance in the minds of people. I mean, we get talked, or it's quoted in the media often about that only 20% of people seek advice, or whatever the number might be. But I think part of that is us explaining as a profession, as an industry, what do we do? Like we need to put our place in the minds of people, in the minds of advice seekers, as to what we actually do for people, what we do as a profession. Because if you see 6 different advisors and ask them what they do, you'll most likely get 6 different answers. And I think that's not an easy message for the consumer or the public to understand. So I think we've got a bit of a battle for relevance in the minds of the public.
So who champions that that explaining? Is it an industry-wide thing? Is it individual advisors? Who does that? Because there doesn't seem to be anyone collectively taking on that mantle.
Yeah, okay. I think it's all of the above. So I think it's us as a community, it's us as a profession, it's professional associations, and it's larger institutions. I don't think that any one of us can do it alone. I think it's a collective effort amongst all of us to try and educate or really define what it is we do for people and how we help people.
Now, I'm aware that you've done this very well in your own business, that you've sort of explained to your clients what it is you do, and it allowed you to actually take some time off, and you spent 6 months in Canada working remotely. First of all, why Canada?
They have 10 metres of snow most years, so we figured we might as well go there.
And your whole family skis?
They hadn't seen snow, so I have 2 kids. They had not seen snow until we drove up the hill, and they jumped out the car, jumped into the snow and said, "Oh, actually, Daddy, this is really cold." Yes, it is snowing and it is cold. But now they do ski pretty well. Yeah, the boys are good.
So is there plans in the future to maybe to replicate that experience maybe in another location?
I'm an honest soul, so yeah, sure. We've just booked to go again for 7 weeks this Christmas, just for a short period of time, not for 5 months. And just to go back a step, you said I took time off. It wasn't actually time off. I was just working from a ski resort, so it wasn't time off. Yeah.
But working from a ski resort sounds like a good way to do it.
It's not bad.
In terms of looking ahead, what are some personal goals you'd like to achieve? You mentioned before getting some more people on board, but some personal goals outside of work. What would you like to achieve?
Gosh, I'd like to get the boys through being teenagers. It makes, their little rants when they're 4 and 6 years old seem very, very palatable and very easy. So I'd like to be able to have 2 kids who are a little bit older, and maybe when they're 18 and 21, we can all play soccer together. If my bones hold together, we can all have a kick around together. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Last question, a message for your peers. If you had to sort of summarise something you'd like to pass on to your peers in the industry, a single idea, a single thought, what would it be?
I'd say don't underestimate the importance and the power of what we do. We can see several clients with similar situations every day, and it can become a little bit automated or mundane. But I think we really need to bear in mind the real value and the absolute importance and just the peace of mind we can deliver if we do our job well to our clients. And so to really not underestimate what it is we do for people, because it is really, if we do it well, really, really powerful and really, really valued.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.